Hi, this is Ani. Welcome once again to the Weekly Market Outlook. This is for the week of October 20th, which is going to be a big earnings week, and we are going to be looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average chart, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ 100 as usual. Let's look at what's happened on these charts last week on the daily. Looking at the Dow Jones Industrial, as you can see, it dropped down to about 15,855, and it did a rapid decline and held it actually into a second day before the third day. This is on Friday. It did gap up, and that was on some news about the housing. But how strong is this gap up? Is this going to be holding? We are right now looking, it's visible right here that this is a major resistance area. We did close slightly above, but not by much. And we are also looking at this possible bounce here to this level, which would be the next resistance area prior to the one above that, of course. But this resistance area may give in. Usually when I look at these charts, I like to look at it further out as well, because if we're looking at the weekly, and that would be looking here, we can see that this area right there is just below that that strong resistance area. We opened and closed below that actually for the week, and before, of course, after visiting down to the 15,850 area. So looking at this, we are in a very critical point on the weekly. We do need to move up and close above here in order to continue. But these long tails like to be filled. They like to be revisited. So I do expect some sort of a visit down to the 16,000 one more time. Looking at this further out on the monthly, and that would be down here. On the monthly, I'm seeing pretty much the same picture. Now we haven't had such a big pullback in a long time. Well, it's been down over here at the beginning of the year maybe, but that certainly, now we're breaking down below that. We are at a support area down here that's going to be needed to be visited. So if we're going to pull back down to the 16,000, I think we will be testing further down as well. Depending now on earnings, of course, as to what happens. We are closed once again below that. So there are certain forces here that may be bouncing on the fact that we're getting good reports, but not necessarily holding. It's as if the market is a little bit tired, or perhaps it's been just too much information digested and really overlooked in many ways. And now that we might be pulling out, this might be the final realization that we could be in a recovery, but at the same time it is not as strong as we'd like to believe. Okay, let's take a look at the next one, which is the SPX, and it's they have a very similar chart pattern. Once more, let's try that again. Okay, it has a very similar chart pattern. Of course, it started moving back up yesterday, of course, and on Thursday instead of Friday, and it stopped right here at this resistance area. Now it's going to be the next level. Pretty much the same on this pattern, that usually these do reverse, at least for a while, or at least for a test. Okay, so that is once again the 1850 area, maybe the 1870, 65 area. And if it's going to lose that, then I think we're going to start filling these tails right there. And on the other hand, on this bounce moving further up, we're going to have to be watching the 1925 after we push past the 1910. If I look at this again on further out on the weekly, I'm going to see pretty much the same, that you see that this support area was basically hit and reversed, and that being the case, I'm once again thinking that it will be visiting the 1850 area one more time for a test, and possibly filling down here below. It took a double bottom here of before we continued upwards. The last time, of course, that was much more minor pullback than this one. And because this is so this was so strong and so fast, I don't know if there's going to be such a big rally moving back up. If I look at this also on the monthly, it's going to be pretty much, that's a 20-year monthly, pretty much the same scenario, except what's compelling here is that we are out of this trend line for the month. And although we started up here, we dropped down, and we're basically, this is at the 50% area of this recovery, back up. So once again, that being the case, we might test further down one more time. And remember, the longer the chart, the more time it might take to fulfill that. Okay, then NDX right here is the same thing in my opinion. Correction on that. It's really not the same thing, because we had a double bottom on this one. We did fill this tail on this. Now this could be on anticipation of what's coming with the earnings this coming week, that we had such a gap up on Friday, and that, of course, that helped the S&P 500 along as well. And looking at depending on the earnings, how good will they be, how disappointing will they be, or will they be just enough to capitalize on the earnings and then selling it off. That's going to be what to watch for, I think, in this coming week. And that's once more, we are at this one, tested the the resistance area here in this level at the 3850. And then pulled back, and we are below this channel marker right there, or this trend line marker right there, and move, and maybe even have the possibility of moving back down and testing nearer to the 37.5 than before moving further up. So this is going to be possibly the most important to watch for the week. And looking at further out, of course, on the weekly, you can see that in this one, we are basically right here at this trend line, and dropping below will be important. That's interesting, is that this major support area was also dropped and tested last week. And looking further out on the monthly, we're seeing very much the same ideas. Let me just get this out of the way. And we can see that right here we are still within bounds, but we have tested below, and that's what's going to be pulling down this, in my opinion, the market's going to, this gravity is what the word I'm looking for. There is going to be a gravity here that's not going to be let loose very easily. So watch the 38.75 on this one, right, and on the NASDAQ 100 for the monthly. That's the 38.75 is going to be important, in my opinion. And that's on the resistance side, and then moving back down to possibly test the 37.50 area is also going to be interesting to watch for. That's basically it for you for the week. I gave you a lot, I think, but to watch, but there is a lot to be considering here also. So take care. Good luck in the markets. Trade it well and carefully as always. And I'll be talking with you again soon. If there's any updates, I will give them. Thanks. Bye-bye.